a fractured beacon arrived at the central archives of the Orion Assembly, carrying a final report from a remote survey fleet. The message was stark. It claimed that the civilizations of the outer spiral arms believed they controlled the galaxy's balance of power. This was a bold assertion, one that had never been tested simply because no rival had ever emerged to challenge their structure. For decades, their fleets had patrolled the vital trade corridors without a hint of resistance. Their influence expanded, not through diplomacy or negotiation, but through a quiet, pervasive intimidation. Battles were a thing of the past, not because of peace, but because no opponent seemed willing to measure their strength against the Assembly's might. Their dominance was an accepted fact, a silent truth across the known stars. Around this time, a small, independent group of researchers began tracking unusual energy signatures near the Perseus frontier. What they found was staggering. Evidence of an unknown network activating far beyond the edges of mapped space. This network operated with a level of precision that exceeded any known engineering principles. Its intricate activities suggested a hidden, ancient civilization monitoring the galaxy from an unimaginable distance. The researchers presented their findings to the Assembly, but they were dismissed. The Assembly's firm belief in its own unchallenged control blinded them, restricting their ability to evaluate new, contradictory data. Their leaders assumed any unknown signal must belong to a minor, insignificant culture, utterly lacking the capability to pose any threat. Confidence had completely overridden caution. Despite the concerns voiced by the research team, a single reconnaissance vessel was deployed to the frontier. The mission was simple: investigate the strange signals and report back. The crew ventured into the unknown, expecting minimal contact, perhaps a primitive outpost or an automated probe. Instead, they discovered a silent, colossal array of machines, positioned with geometric perfection across a vast region of space. The machines were dormant, yet clearly functional. There were no markings, no insignias, no clues to identify their creators. The ship's sensors went wild, indicating that the array predated every known galactic government, possibly by millions of years. Its very architecture was alien, constructed from materials not found in any local star systems. The crew, stunned, transmitted their data back to the Assembly and awaited further instructions. The order came back swiftly. Disengage immediately. Do not conduct further analysis. The Assembly did not want any evidence that might challenge their carefully constructed narrative of absolute dominance. Weeks later, the array activated without any warning. A silent, invisible pulse of energy spread through the frontier. This pulse was not destructive. It didn't harm ships or their crews. It was precise, targeted. It disabled only propulsion systems. The Assembly, now alerted and alarmed, dispatched multiple fleets to investigate the disturbance. But one by one, every fleet met the same fate. As they crossed an unseen boundary line, their engine controls went dead. They were left adrift, weapons armed, but useless, stranded in the silent darkness. Their fleets remained motionless until hours later, the pulse subsided and their engines came back online. This single, silent event exposed a truth the Assembly had long avoided. Their power was conditional. Their reach, which they thought was limitless, depended entirely on the limits set by another, far greater force. The news spread like wildfire across civilian networks. Speculation was rampant. Some panicked, fearing an imminent invasion by a technologically superior power. Others, more thoughtful, believed the array served a different purpose, perhaps as a galactic regulatory system. Scientists, scrambling to make sense of the event, began analyzing the signal patterns from the pulse. Their conclusions were revolutionary. The array wasn't designed for war. Its configuration more closely resembled a containment grid. Its primary function appeared to be monitoring star-forming regions and regulating gravitational instabilities on a cosmic scale. Its purpose was environmental, not political. The galaxy, in its arrogance, had assumed this vast structure was theirs to claim and control. Now, they faced the undeniable evidence that another, older intelligence was managing the very structure of space itself. This brought the whole concept of perceived dominance into question. The Assembly believed they ruled because no rival ever acted against them, but their authority only existed within a narrow scope, a small sandbox they had misinterpreted as the entire universe. The array demonstrated that true control can be invisible, silent, and completely indifferent. True power doesn't need to announce itself with fleets and weapons. It defines the limits of others through fundamental structure, not through overt confrontation. For all their might, the Orion Assembly had been operating within parameters they never even realized were imposed upon them from the outside. They were like children playing in a walled garden, believing they ruled the world, unaware of the gardener who tended the walls. After the incident, the stranded fleets regained their propulsion. The array returned to its silent, dormant state. No further signals emerged. The frontier remained stable, but everything had changed. The Assembly began reviewing the evidence, this time with a new, humbling precision. They had to acknowledge that their dominance had never extended beyond their own assumptions. Their rule was only effective in the absence of higher-order systems. Their influence, while still significant within their sphere, was not absolute. The conclusion was direct and inescapable. Power that is perceived as unchallenged is often power that is deeply misunderstood. The civilizations of the galaxy thought they were the masters of their own destiny. Now, they understood they were merely tenants, operating inside a larger framework they did not create and could not control. The silence from the frontier was now more profound than any declaration of war, a constant reminder of their true place in the cosmos. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more stories that challenge our perception of the universe.